Hi folks, so a lot of you have sent in questions about me, who I am, what I do. We've collected a few of them, and Johnny, the ever dependable Johnny, is going to ask me. So Johnny, fire away.
Okay, why didn't you choose a traditional financial career?
Well, a lot of reasons, but you know, one of the big ones was I remember reading an interview with Alistair Darling, who was the UK Chancellor of the Exchequer during the 2008 crash. And he said, the thing that stuck out with me in that interview was he said that the UK, the cash machines in the UK, and by extension the banks, came really, really close to running out of cash, to running out of money in 2008 when everything was going down. And just the thought of that really, really spooked me. Like, you know, to think what would happen if cash machines stopped giving out money, you know, back then, it was really, really frightening. And I remember thinking, like, any sort of system that allows us to get to almost that point is crazy, is screwed. So, yeah, I think that was a big part of it. Like, I saw what happened in 2008. I saw that this was a crappy system, and I didn't really want any kind of direct involvement with it, I guess.
Good answer. When did you first hear about Bitcoin?
2013. So I walked into my local pub in Hackney in East London, and there was a sign saying we accept, or Bitcoin accepted here. And I was like, what the hell is that? And so yeah, I went back home afterwards and typed it into Google, and the rabbit hole just kind of opened up.
The rest is history.
Exactly.
When did you buy your first Bitcoin?
So that would have been the following year, so 2014, because yeah, so I did a lot of research into it, and I mean, it wasn't very easy to buy Bitcoin back then, and actually around that time Mt. Gox had just collapsed, and so there was a lot of kind of despondency and, you know, uncertainty in the air following that, because that was a real disaster, and a lot of people got wrecked off of Mt. Gox. So yeah, it was because it was kind of difficult to get, and because, you know, the biggest exchange in the world went down around that time, I sort of held off, and then, you know, I wanted to know more about it, and I consulted sort of people who kind of more technical knowledge than I had, and a friend of mine eventually helped me buy one, and it was about $600 when I bought it, and I bought one. I couldn't really afford $600 at that time. But I went out on a limb. But I bought that was the kind of start of it, and then I bought the dip a few times after that.
Got it.
It went up.
And crucially, are you still hodling it?
Yeah. Well, most of it.
Okay.
I sold a few in 2019. I sold a bit in 2019 when we were starting up the YouTube channel, because we needed some capital for equipment and space and all this sort of stuff. So yeah, but it was in a bit of a slump then, so which is a shame, but I don't regret it. It had to be done.
Got it. So in that vein, would you tell me a little bit about the early days of Coin Bureau, when it was founded, when you joined?
Okay, so Coin Bureau launched as a website in 2017. And yeah, it was started by a couple of guys, and one of whom was an old school friend of mine. So he knew that I was into crypto, so he got me on board to help write for them, which I did, and I started contributing and all that sort of stuff. And I mean, you can go back and see some of the early articles. They're all published under the banner of editorial team. But there were a few of us, and we were sort of just producing these educational articles on Bitcoin and crypto, and loving it.
So when did the YouTube channel start, and why?
Why? Okay, well, so in early 2019, Google changed its algorithm like that without warning, and our site traffic dropped by about 80%. It was a tough time.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so yeah, it was horrible. So I mean, like all of us involved were kind of on a Skype call. We got on a Skype call to decide what we were going to do. And I had the idea of starting, of filming some content and putting it on YouTube, because we were trying to sort of find a way to pivot and get ourselves back in the mix. So yeah, everyone kind of liked the idea, and then it was like, right, so who's going to do this YouTube? And people sort of started excusing themselves, and like one of the guys pointed out that because I'd done like acting courses at uni, and I'd done like amateur dramatics and short films, this kind of stuff, that I was probably the best one to do it. And yeah, it was a unanimous decision that it was going to be me. Got it.
And did you ever think that channel would reach 1.5 million subscribers?
Well, yeah, but it was it was daydreaming a lot of the time. It'd be like, wow, it'd be amazing. But yeah, I did have faith in it. But something that really helped was when we were sort of starting off, I spoke to a friend of mine who kind of worked in media and had experience working with YouTube creators and people like this, and she said a good thing to do is just to put the subscriber numbers out of your mind. So I just kind of forgot about it a little. I didn't think about it, because there were other guys on the team who were involved with growing the channel and distributing, putting the videos up and all this sort of stuff. And so I kind of left it to them to worry about subscriber numbers. So I only really paid attention when we hit milestones. When we hit 1K and when we hit 10K, 100K, and it was kind of at about 100K that I started being like, okay, this really is going back. And yeah, from then on, I was checking the stats all the time.
Brilliant.
Look away.
So how did you find the motivation to keep making videos and producing content even in times like a bear market, a really intense bear market?
Well, it wasn't difficult. It wasn't, I had enough faith in crypto. I mean, we all had enough faith in crypto by that point, to know that it was, that it was gonna come back, as it were. This was a dip, and it was weird because sometimes we'd be working on a particular project. We'd be focusing on a particular project and researching it and all that sort of stuff, and you'd have this sense like, wow, this might not be around for long, because it was that sort of time. But as for crypto as a whole, we knew it was going to survive. I mean, we had no idea that it was going to rebound as much as it did. That caught us by surprise.
Yeah, it's not exactly something we worry about so much anymore, is it?
No. I think we all know that it's here to stay. And yeah, we're all kind of mentally preparing ourselves for the next bear market, which will be tough when it comes. But yeah, I mean, I don't think there'll be any doubt then that it's a temporary thing.
Got it. And last question: what about the Coin Bureau are you most excited about for 2022?
Well, the podcast that we're going to do with iHeartMedia, I'm really excited about that, because that is going to be it's going to be a new challenge, but also a great way of of reaching a newer audience, because YouTube and podcast listeners, although there is kind of overlap, they are kind of separate audiences in a way. So I'm looking forward to reaching a lot more people with that. And I'm also, assuming that we kind of keep getting COVID and stuff under control, I'm really looking forward to just getting out of the office, out of London, travelling a bit, meeting people in the community, going to conferences, and yeah, basically sort of flying the flag a little more, travelling.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think that's all the questions we have for now.
Cool. Okay, thanks, Johnny. Thanks for sending your questions in, people. I hope that sheds some light on it all. I'll see you all soon. I'm going to get back to work.